Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to WiggyWam Get Your Property Questions Answered, week 15 of our webinar series. And I'm absolutely thrilled that you've been joining in with us over the course of the last 15 weeks, which I can't believe. Time has flown so quickly. When we first started this as a bit of an experiment in the marketplace, I wasn't quite sure what sort of a response we would get from doing it. But I've got to say that I'm absolutely thrilled that by putting this content out there and by answering your questions and by sharing all of this throughout various different social media platforms, the responses we've been getting back are pretty tremendous, which is great. So thank you for engaging with us. Thank you for sending your questions in. Thank you for your wonderful comments and feedback that you feed into us each and every week via our email and also via social media as well. It's great to see that your support is there, and I can't thank you enough for doing so. Now, as part of this week, we are what is it now, coming up from 10-11 days now from Christmas, and I think everybody's mind is probably on two things right now. One is Christmas, obviously, and making sure that things are ready for the big day. But I think there's also at the back of people's minds a lot of concern about the housing market, cost of living crisis, rising utility bills, and all the rest of it. And who can blame people? I mean, the media are kind of in overdrive at the moment, and some of the things that I'm seeing are, pretty bad, to be honest with you, in the press. I mean, I thought it was bad going through COVID, but seeing that, there's threats of utility companies having to cut power or suggesting people don't use power or electricity or gas during the prime hours when they return home from work on a work day is quite frankly unacceptable. And I'm very conscious of the fact that there are people out there right now that will be struggling, and we want to do our bit as far as WiggyWam is concerned to really help people throughout the transition through this next swing in the market, shall we say, from going from a very intense booming market to what is now a market that is slowing down. And so towards the end of today's webinar, I've got a very, very special announcement that I'll be making. You do not want to miss it. So if you've never watched one of these things all the way through to the end, I'm going to strongly encourage you to go through the whole of this webinar and embrace the learning opportunity, or the opportunity, should I say, at the end of the webinar, because we're going to be doing something really, really special. And I think I must be touched by a little bit of Christmas madness, but I'm not going to spoil the surprise and tell you what it is right now. We'll leave that towards the end. Just by way of a quick market update, because I'm speaking to a number of different professionals up and down the country at the moment as to where the state of the market is. Obviously, you've got the press promoting one aspect of the market, which is that it's all doom and gloom, and then you've got the professionals in the marketplace. Some are talking it up, but I will be honest with you, the majority of agents and solicitors I'm talking to are suggesting that the market is slowing down. And I do believe that quite a few people are worried. They're trying to get ahead of the game and make the necessary changes to their business model and to their sort of staffing levels and their expenses in order to survive, and hopefully thrive throughout 2023. So it's going to be a really interesting transition time, I think. Really by March of next year, as we start to warm up towards the spring market, if you'll pardon the pun, as we're heading towards that spring market, we'll have a clearer indication of what's actually going on with house prices and the level of demand that's in the marketplace at this time of year. As anybody who's been in the industry for more than about 12 months will know, that this time of year is traditionally bad for trying to sell property. Purely because people's minds are on other things, as we've already discussed. Although it is a great time, unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you look at it, for estate agents to be winning instructions, because this is traditionally the time when families spend their first holiday in a long time together. And unfortunately, it is traditionally in the marketplace the time when families decide to go their separate ways more than any other time in the year. So I'm reliably informed. So it's a good opportunity for winning business, perhaps in the new year. Not that we want to look at it like that, but we have to remember that estate agents and conveyancers alike are actually in some respects freeing people up from very stressful personal situations. If relationships aren't working and relationships are breaking down, it's sometimes better that they come to an end and people move on with their lives. So it is a great opportunity there for people to be freed up from stressful personal situations and to find a new lease of life again, shall we say. So I do expect, as I say, the market to be slowing down. Whether things pick back up in the new year, I'm doubtful, but I do see a house price correction happening. It is happening now, although, to be honest with you, when people quote a 2 or 3% correction in the house price, that's not really big news. That can be explained away by seasonal variations, but I think a bigger drops in the order of sort of 20, 30% may be on the cards in the not too distant future. I think it all depends what happens with liquidity in the marketplace. It all depends on what happens with interest rates. If liquidity dries up in the banking market and if interest rates start to rise even further, then you can bet your bottom dollar that people are going to get very nervous about buying. So that's just a quick market update, guys and girls. Let's crack on with today's webinar. I'm super excited to get into this, and let's have a blast through and make sure we can answer everybody's questions this week. So first question in is from Catherine. Hi there, Catherine. Thanks for your question. So Catherine says, we've been trying to sell our house since September 2021 and just lost the 5th buyer. They all pulled out last minute for different reasons, such as a job loss, mortgage offer ran out, a death in the family, and so on. We also lost out on the original house we wanted to buy, as they lost the one that they also wanted to buy. We've lost out financially on surveys, repeated searches, new contracts, and other costs each time. Now the property we wanted has come back up for sale, and we really don't want to miss out. Is now a bad time to sell? Is there anything we can do to ensure the sale goes through this time? We've been considering just selling and going into short-term rental, if that would help break the chain. Is there anything we can do so we don't have to keep getting new searches and things? All right, well, Catherine, thanks for your question, and sorry that you've gone through that situation. That must be really stressful to lose 5 buyers in a row. So my heart goes out to you, because I know what it's like just to lose one transaction. So 5 is pretty tough going there, to be honest with you. A couple of things I want to say, Catherine, in your position, and this is, I don't want this to be a shameless plug for WiggyWam and the services that we offer, but there are a number of elements where I think you can probably score big by plugging into a number of the things that we offer. The first one I would encourage you to put in place, because you've gone through this so many times, I would put your protect your pocket indemnity policy in place, and that will underwrite your costs should another deal fall through in the future on your sale or your purchase. So I would definitely put your protect your pocket policy in place. That will give you the peace of mind and confidence to know that those costs are underwritten. Should, God forbid, anything happen again, then you know that you'll be able to get those costs back that you've paid out for. That would be the first thing I would do. Second thing, once that's in place, I would then go forward and get a seller's pack in place, purely because with everything that's been going on, I think what you need is, once you've found your next buyer, you need to get that deal across the line as quickly as possible. And what we are now able to offer with those sellers packs is something that we are lovingly calling Twin Search. And that might sound like, what on earth is Twin Search? What does that even mean? Well, the Twin Search option is to prevent your searches from getting out of date once they're put into the seller's pack. And the reason you want that in place is because when your next buyer comes along, you want to try and fast track that deal through to completion as soon as possible, because first of all, you want the house that you've got your heart set on. And secondly, you want to make sure that, you don't suffer a 6th lost buyer. Okay, so that's what I would be doing. Get your seller's pack in place with the Twin Search option, and I think that will help a ton to give any new buyer confidence in the property that you're selling, and it'll also prevent any kind of crisis, last minute negotiations, or buyers getting cold feet because something comes up that they weren't expecting, or all that sort of stuff just goes out of the window, and they should come in as a more informed buyer because they've got the seller's pack in front of them. And then we can help you with even getting a solicitor on board who can fast track this through to completion inside of 6 weeks. That would be certainly what I'd be looking to do. I do think going into short-term rental would be a good idea. That is our situation currently, if I'm being honest with you. As far as myself and my partner are concerned, we are in short-term rental because we believe that the market is going to dip and we want to get more value for our money. You can't blame us for that, right? So if you're going to be a smart buyer, that's exactly what I would do. But the other thing I'm going to suggest as well, Catherine, this might sound a bit crazy, but in my experience of life so far, there's been certain things that happen in life that can be a little bit unexplained. And I would suggest that one of the situations that you've just outlined here kind of falls into that scenario, that you've lost 5 buyers on the bounce. there might be some energetic clearing that needs to be done in order to resolve your, shall we say, bad luck that you're faced with here. So I would suggest reaching out to somebody. And again, if you're struggling with this, let me know, because I can put you in touch with a very good lady who will do, well, she calls it soul clearing, which sounds a bit extreme, but she will be able to do sort of energetic property clearing as well. And if there's any kind of stale or bad energy or anything around the property that might be causing these scenarios to unfold, which are affecting you, then she will clear those away, and you will be amazed at the results. I've actually done this personally myself. It sounds crazy, it sounds wacko, but when I first heard about this, it was through a property investor friend of mine who had a number of properties in their portfolio and was actually in the process of buying a property similar to this, and there were several deals that fell through, and he primed this situation up for this energetic clearing, and once that was done, he was able to fast track the deal through, got a really good deal on buying the property that he wanted to buy there, and made, you know, quite a nice sum of money from it as well. So you have to be I personally would be open to that sort of thing. Many people aren't. Many people are fairly closed-minded about it. Each to their own. But I would suggest that you know, 1 or 2 buyers being lost is unfortunate. 5 is fairly extreme, and it might be an example there that you might want to consider that. So, as I say, if you need any more information on that, Catherine, let me know. But I wish you the best of luck. And again, we can help you with all the other options with your Protect Your Pocket policy, your seller's pack, and also your twin search option to plug into that as well. And if you need a solicitor that will fast track the deal through to completion, then we can certainly put you in touch with somebody there as well. All right. So best of luck with that, Catherine, and hope you have a good Christmas as well. All right. So moving on, question number 2 comes in from Marcus. So hi there, Marcus. Marcus says, I'm a conveyancer who works for myself on a consultancy basis. I read an article recently that Land Registry is digitizing their services. What impact or difference will this have on a conveyancer's role? Okay, then, Marcus. Well, thank you for your question. I may or may not be the most qualified person to answer this, as I don't do conveyancing myself. And you know, I have been involved with conveyancing firms and that sort of thing, so I can give you a brief outline, and I can certainly give you some bit of background as to what's actually going on there. But as I understand it, from the end of November this year, which is 2022, the digital registration service, which was normally which is the default route for business customers, i.e. conveyancers, to submit applications to the portal, is the default option now within the Land Registry website, and that replaces the original electronic document registration service. Okay, so you've got the digital registration service overtaking the document registration service. Very similar names, but it is Land Registry we're talking about here. And apparently they've now put through, I think it's close to 750,000 transactions now on that new platform, and there has been a substantial reduction in the number of errors that have been coming through from that. Now that is all designed to speed up the actual process. Obviously, Land Registry are going to tell you all the benefits about why you should be doing this. As I say, I haven't got the first-hand experience, so maybe if there's a conveyancer watching this who wants to come on and share a bit more information about their experiences of working with the Land Registry, you know, digital registration service there, and they can shed a bit more light on it, then we'd love to have you on the show to, you know, fill in the blanks that are on the actual practical application side of things. But, you know, the benefits that Land Registry are suggesting that you're going to get from this is that it will check all of the information that you're submitting whilst you're actually filling it out, and compare it with the Land Registry data as well, to make sure that it's all as accurate as it can be. And it will also give you various different prompts and guidance to check to make sure that the information that you're supplying is accurate. So ultimately, it should be making your life easier, as I say, allowing you to save progress and all the rest of it, and it will calculate your fees as you go along. But as I say, these are only the benefits that Land Registry will tell you as part of their marketing message, and not necessarily the experience that it would be for a conveyancer actually using the system. I would imagine if it's anything like any new technology, there might be a few teething issues that you'll go through, which will be just getting to learn the new system. Like any new bit of tech, there's probably a few bugs in there, so you might be trying to do something. And I've had this recently myself. I was I say this is recently, this was going back probably about 18 months, 2 years ago. and I was using a piece of software that Apple provided to learn programming. I forget the name of it right now, but I was going through this thing, and I was following the examples they were giving me, and I was typing this code out, and I'm sitting there going, I'm no coder, but this looks really accurate to me, and the system isn't responding. And there was actually a bug in the program that they were providing to help you learn to code, right? And I'm sitting there going, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is accurate. And as I say, I'm not a coder. I'm not that bright, to be honest with you, as far as that's concerned. But there was an error and a bug there, and you just have to get that resolved. So I think it offers some promise. It offers some benefits to you. I would definitely get in there and learn as much as you can. I'm sure there's probably going to be people doing YouTube videos or of the similar ilk, that there'll be online training videos available for you to follow through and get any questions answered that you may have on that. Apparently, you can use the digital registration service to update registered titles, to register new titles, and to close leasehold titles, and remove default Form A restrictions. Okay, which will mean more to you than it does to me. Okay, but apparently, for any of the first registrations of a legal title, they should be submitted by post. So it seems like right now, Land Registry has got their processes split across 3 different means of making an application, shall we say, and I imagine that as the next sort of 12, 18 months unfold, some of those will begin to drift away, and it will all be done within their new digital registration service. Okay, so I hope that answers the question, Marcus. Get stuck into it. It would be my advice. Play around with it, and hopefully you'll be a whiz on it, as soon as possible with all of that. Okay, thank you for your question, Marcus. Have a good Christmas as well. Right, moving on, question number 3 from Mahmood. Mahmood asks, what are the likely impacts of global warming on property prices in the future? I've been reading a lot of conflicting information on the internet about what might or might not happen, but I'm completely unsure about investing in any sort of riverside property because there won't be anything of value to pass on to my children. Surely all the oceanfront properties and anything by a river or watercourse will be underwater soon. All right, well, thank you for the question, Mahmood. Totally understand your stance on all of that, and it is a bit of a minefield sort of going through all of this conflicting information to understand what is the root cause of the problem, because, if I don't know how old you are, Mahmood, but from my point of view, when I was growing up, it was all about, talking about the differences in global warming. We were going to enter a new ice age, and then that didn't happen. And then it was going to be, some next environmental crisis. And now we're on to climate change, which is the rebranded version of global warming. And I've got to be honest with you, I am very skeptical about this. I've seen probably a similar amount of conflicting information as you have out there on the internet, but I've heard I've seen some very interesting videos of people within the European Parliament calling out the climate change agenda as a big gravy train, if you like, and I'm sure there's going to be 1 or 2 keyboard warriors who are flexing up right now and ready to feed me back with some comments about how naive I am about all of this. Look, I believe that there is probably a pollution problem, okay, that needs to be addressed. So, things like oil spills, things like, all of these plastic bottles that are in the sea, or, all of these masks, these countless masks that have been produced over the course of the last couple of years. We've banned plastic straws, but now there's, millions of masks that are into landfill right now. You've got a pollution problem, most definitely, and that needs to be addressed, and that's crucial to undertake. But as far as impact on climate is concerned, I believe, this is my personal view, is that there are far greater elements that are way outside of our control that are impacting the climate rather than carbon dioxide. And listening to some interesting scientists, they're suggesting that there is no suggestion whatsoever that carbon dioxide would be a gas that actually causes a heating effect within the atmosphere. Okay, now, as I say, these are the scientists. This includes astrophysicists and other specialists who are out there who recognize that actually influences like the sun, for example, is far more potent on the on the world than actually CO2. And those are the sorts of things that we need to sort of differentiate between fact and fiction, if you like. Now, to put this into context, I did see a video by a gentleman called Dan Pena. Anybody who's watched some of these webinars before will know that I'm a bit of a fan of Dan because he's very straight talking and, you know, he tells it as it is. And he made a really interesting observation, which is, if you look at a lot of these oceanfront properties or anything that's built next to a river or a watercourse, not one prospectus in the entire world, as far as I'm aware, actually features any kind of caveat or inclusion to suggest that in 50 years, this property may be underwater. And I would suggest that, you know, the powers that be, as far as the banking industry is concerned and the insurance industry is concerned, would certainly be ahead of the game if there was any kind of risk of rising sea levels or any kind of rising water levels. They would know, or they would certainly have the experts working on it. And I would suggest respectfully that if there was something out there that would cause us some concern, they would be the first people right now to be pulling insurance on waterfront properties. And as far as I'm aware, that's not happening. As far as I'm aware, they're not hiking premiums. Now, that's not to say that might not happen in the future, but if it was such an alarming state of affairs as we're being told it's a crisis and it's an emergency, then I would suggest that they'd probably be doing that right now, and they're not. Okay, and as far as I'm aware, banks across the planet are not pulling finance products for any properties that are close to water. And if you look at some of the biggest cities in the world, including London or Chicago or places like that, they're built very close to the river. And there's multi-billions, if not trillions of pounds worth of property right next to the water. And there doesn't seem to be any concern that they may be underwater and there'll be nothing left in the future. So that would be my take on it. That there, you know, I'd look to people who know a little bit more than I do rather than the alarmist press. As I say, if banks and insurance companies aren't now dictating, and I suppose the other thing to look at, of course, is that there are, you know, significant rumours of people who have been in positions of power who have bought oceanfront properties with their billions and multi-millions of pounds, and they're sitting quite happily enjoying their view with no threat of it being submerged anytime soon. So I think those are the sorts of things we need to look at, and you know, I just don't see it happening personally. I think the reduction in CO2 levels could actually do more harm than good, because as a friend of mine said to me recently, if anybody who owns a greenhouse and they want their plants to grow will normally pump carbon dioxide into the greenhouse to help the plants grow. And that seems quite smart to me. Okay, so surely more carbon dioxide in the air would actually create a lusher, greener environment. That's just, you know, one thing to look at. I don't know, but yeah, I think as far as property prices are concerned, I don't think there's going to be any impact on property prices in the future. I'm sure there's going to be a million people out there with a different view, so feel free to express that as you see fit. But as far as I'm concerned, as I say, I just don't see it. Certainly not in our lifetimes, and probably not in our children's lifetime. Okay, so that's a good few years away yet. All right, thank you for the question, Mahmood. Have a wonderful Christmas as well. And moving on to question number 4 here. This came in from Sarah via LinkedIn. Sarah was involved recently in a discussion which resulted in her saying that she felt the industry was not very good, the conveyancing industry that is, at communicating directly to the public in terms of the marketing of their services and educating clients on the process involved in buying and selling a home. Sarah went on to say that the main way they get new clients is via word of mouth, but also the discussion highlighted problems around how the public select a solicitor, and that this is behind many of the problems because many choose based on fee, because other than that, all solicitors look the same. So the question from Sarah is, how do we overcome this hurdle? Well, thank you for your question, Sarah, and thanks for your engagement as well on our social media posts on LinkedIn. I'm going to cut to the chase and say, quite frankly, you know, you need to be working with companies like WiggyWam. One of the things I'm seeing particularly for conveyancing firms and solicitors, is there is a general hesitancy to do a lot of marketing, particularly social media exposure online. And I totally understand that, because I suppose the reservation at the back of people's minds is we don't want to put something out there into the universe and then get sued because we gave somebody misleading information, right? So I think the reason why I suggest you want to work with somebody like WiggyWam is because shall we say, we may have a little bit more leeway as to what we can and can't put out into the world, where we're not going to run the risk of professional negligence or anything like that. But of course, we are providing quality information to our clients in their buying, selling, and home moving journey, right? So that would be one of my first suggestions. And again, another reason why I suggest you do that, Sarah, is because what we've tried to do within WiggyWam is we've built a number of different trainings, online video trainings, where you can direct clients to them, and they can go and consume that content 24/7 in the comfort of their own home, and they can really, what's the word I'm looking for? Get a lot of these repetitive questions that you guys get asked day in, day out from many different clients. They can get them answered straight away, okay? And that will drastically cut down on the number of phone calls that you guys are having to deal with. So my understanding is that as conveyancers, your work on a conveyancing file may only take 6 to 8 hours to get that deal across the line, but you're handling 6 phone calls a week per file, okay, of people trying to chase and understand what's going on with the deal. Now, surely it would make sense to get rid of as much of that as possible. And that's why we built WiggyWam, with not just the education and the training involved, but also with the amazing communication tools that we built in there. Okay, so you can update your client literally by typing your case management notes, cutting and pasting the relevant bits, dropping that into the property workspace within WiggyWam. Okay, and then all of a sudden, both the estate agents the estate agent's updated, the other side's updated, your client's updated, and the buyer or seller, depending upon who's on the other side, and all that can be done in an instant. Well, that saves you a ton of time, repeatedly emailing, repeatedly answering phone calls, and I just think that's absolutely amazing. So that's how we built it, is to give you guys massive leverage in your day-to-day journey. The other thing I'm going to suggest you do, Sarah, is that, and this is where I feel for a lot of clients out there of certain conveyancing firms, because we've seen a lot of naughty posts by, and I know it's not your firm, Sarah, so I'm just making the audience aware of this, but there's a lot of posts out there from certain conveyancing firms who are quite literally talking very offensively about some of their clients, suggesting that they're dumb. Okay, now, from a conveyancer's point of view, or an estate agent's point of view, or your and I point of view, when we've been in the game for 20 years or so, we understand a lot of stuff that might be pretty basic to a newbie coming into the industry. But I guarantee that if you took your car to the garage and you said, oh, it's making this noise, the mechanic in the garage might just laugh because it's so basic and simple to fix. Okay, but if you don't know anything about cars, it isn't very basic and simple to fix. All you know is your car is making a noise, or there's a warning light flashing on your dashboard, and you need an expert to look at it. And it's exactly the same when it comes to buying and selling a property. Now, think about that example a little bit further. You've got a problem with your car, you take it into the garage, and at the back of your mind, you're already worried that you're going to be ripped off. Okay, because we hear about all these rogue traders, we hear about all these mechanics, that will, pardon my language, take the piss, and they'll, make up things like the flux capacitor needs changing and it's going to be £1,500. And I come from a motor trade background. Okay, from my old man was in the motor trade for a lot of years, and I've seen some of the things that they do, some of these boys and girls in the industry, and it's not right, and it is naughty, and it is expensive, and it is ripping people off. And the worst one I've heard recently was I was talking to a garage owner locally to us, and he's a great guy, does all of my stuff for me. And I said, why did you decide to set up on your own? And he used to work for one of the big garages in the country. And he said, because they were just ripping people off. Clients would literally park their car up in the morning, hand them the keys, go off to work. They'd come back and pick the car up later on at 4 o'clock in the morning. They'd 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They'd charge them a couple of £100, and they never did any work on the car. And so, at the back of your mind, you must understand that your client coming to you as a conveyancer has no clue about what's involved, because conveyancers are very tight-lipped about what they actually do for their money, and that's not criticizing conveyancers. It's just that they're not communicating, as you quite rightly say in your question here, Sarah, they're just not communicating to their clients what's involved and what they actually do for their money. Okay, so the client's already nervous and anxious. They're being asked to pay you know, £1,000, £1,500, whatever it might be, to the conveyancer, and they don't know what to expect. They don't know how long it's going to take. They have no idea what's involved, and automatically they're on the back foot. Now, what you can do, and what I recommend everybody does, and if you want more information, you can grab a copy of, you know, Estate Agent Secrets. It is called Estate Agent Secrets, but the same information applies to conveyancers as well, is that you need to build out, and I keep banging this drum, but you need to build out a customer nurturing journey. And what does that look like? Well, it starts with you guys standing back from the house buying and selling process and analyzing and putting under the microscope each basic step that your client will take in their house buying journey, regardless of whether or not it's got anything to do with you or if it fits within your domain. Okay. And the reason I say that is because if you know what a client's going to be going through, then you can analyze that part of the process and you can step in with some professional guidance that can help them, or words of wisdom. You know, you've been in the industry for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever it might be. The buyer or seller might not have sold their house for the last 20 years, had a complete nightmare the last time they did it. And, you know, they're scared, they're frightened, they don't know what they're doing. What's involved? How can I, you know, find out more information? Well, lo and behold, my conveyancers actually offered to provide me with this, you know, suite of video trainings, or this suite of FAQs, you know, video FAQs, that sort of thing. And the beautiful part with technology, and we're finding this right now, Sarah, this technology is moving on leaps and bounds, but you don't have to be an expert at it. If you've got a smartphone, you've got a laptop, and a little bit of video editing software, you can quite literally take a question that your client may have. So the first step would be make a list of all of the questions that you get from your clients that are repetitive, that they keep asking over and over again. And don't think they're done for, you know, asking those questions. Realize that if you're not answering those questions once and for all, you know, the finger of blame lies with you to actually take that on the chin and go, okay, these are the 10, 20, 30 most popular questions that we get asked from our clients. I'm going to take each one of them and I'm going to record a 5 or 10 minute, 20 minute quick Q&A on my phone or on my Zoom or whatever it might be. And you're just going to put that out as valuable content to your market. So you would upload that to YouTube, for example. You don't even need to create cover images, but you can go on something like Canva and you can create the most beautiful cover images. Even if you're not a designer, it'll take you 5 minutes. Quite literally, it is incredible. And you can upload that video to YouTube. Okay. And once it's on YouTube, okay, not only can you share that with your friends and colleagues and new customers that are coming in, you can then click on the transcribe button, okay, and it will automatically provide you with a transcript of everything that you've just said, okay, and it's phenomenally accurate, okay? So you can take that, a transcript, and then put that into a guide or a blog or something of that nature, okay? And this all sounds like an incredible amount of work. I promise you, you know, when we do these videos, it's probably an hour or hour and a half of prep time before we lead into them. We do about an hour of video. We do about an hour or so of video editing. We upload that onto YouTube, and then we create all of this different content for the next week. Okay, then we've got all of the different transcripts that we can put into blogs, we can put into different guides to really help our clients, because we're so passionate about creating more and more value. Okay, excuse me. So you can even take your video and upload it to sites like SoundCloud or Anchor, I think is the main one for podcasts. You can upload your video file to Anchor and it will strip the video content and just leave you with the audio file so that you can create a podcast. This costs pennies to do, pennies. Think about how much you've been spending on magazine advertising, newspaper advertising, and honestly, you could quite happily sit down for an hour at night, take a question, answer it, upload it to YouTube, and then you can create a playlist specific for your company, okay, and send that to your client. Or even better, you can join WiggyWam. You can create an online training within the suite of trainings that we've already created, or within the technology that we provide for you. You can host that on WiggyWam. Okay, you can create your own course, step-by-step instructions as to what a client should typically go through, what are the things to look out for, where they need to call you guys for advice, where they need to leave you alone in the process. Educate the clients, okay? And my view is, do it once and get paid for life. That's kind of the motto you want to be looking at here. Do it once and get paid for life, because these questions keep coming up. Okay, your clients are, unfortunately, don't know any better. So why not address it once and for all, get it done, get it out the way, and then you're creating incredible value that you're offering to your client as part of the package. Now, all of a sudden, when a client comes to you for a quote for conveyancing, they're not comparing apples and apples, are they? They're going to be comparing apples with a very high quality conveyancing company that's actually put their clients' needs right at the front of the queue, and they've prepared all of these different resources for them. And that resource has a value. And sometimes that value is, you can't put a monetary amount on it, although sometimes it helps to do so. So you've created all of these different guides, all of these different video trainings that might have a value to your client worth 2 or 3 hours of sitting down with a professional solicitor. That's got to be £300 or £400 worth of value, right? So hopefully you can see where I'm going with this, is that you're no longer then competing on the same playing field, because actually what you've done is you've put yourself into a different league entirely, because you're actually being far more professional in your approach towards your clients. So I hope that helps. I really do see this being the way that things are going to go, and people will resist it, and they will say, no, we don't do the internet, or we don't do social media. I'm afraid you can't get away from it. We've tried. We thought we wouldn't have to go down this road initially when we first set out doing WiggyWam. And as somebody pointed out to me, why wouldn't you? Because all of these resources are available. They're practically free. It gets you out there. It gets you known. It gets you exposed to the marketplace. It's what people want. People are consuming content day in, day out, 24/7, 365 through their mobile phone devices. And the other thing that's really interesting, Sarah, I'll just wrap up with this, is that with obviously WiggyWam, we can see all of the behind the scenes visits when things get sent out via email, or when people come to our site and they look at it. And it's always interesting seeing what are the peak hours when people will actually come and look at stuff. Okay. And it's not what you would think. And this is why you need a 24/7, 365, because a lot of our traffic comes late in the evening or early morning, believe it or not. That's when we see real spikes in traffic, and we're like, wow, okay, people are actually getting up first thing in the morning, and they're reading that email before they get out of bed, or before they get to work. And they're also doing it in the evening once they've got back. So society's become a lot more switched on 24/7 connectivity. And I really do think that if you guys want to break the mold and you want to stand yourself in good stead, because the market's going to get tougher. So you either adapt or die. It's that simple. I'm being very blunt with people, but I think businesses as a whole really need to sit up and take note of what's actually coming. And I don't think it's going to be pretty, but what's the worst that can happen? If the market takes off again next year, you're still going to have all of this amazing resource, and you can still charge a premium for your clients, and they will willingly pay it because they've got incredible value. Okay, so hope that answers the question, Sarah. As you can probably tell, I'm very passionate about this. I do see such an incredible opportunity. And the thing to also get over, Sarah, when you're looking at something like this, and this is for any estate agent or conveyancer, or anybody else who's thinking about doing this sort of thing, you are going to make mistakes. It's not perfect. It is a bit of a trial and error process, putting stuff out onto the internet. You are going to get 1 or 2 bits of feedback that you don't like, but in the long run, is it worth it? Of course. Okay. So I would, so respectfully suggest you embrace it rather than shy away from it. All right. Thanks for the question, Sarah. Have a wonderful Christmas, and look forward to speaking with you very soon. Okay. Moving on. Question number 5 comes in from Melissa. So Melissa asks, in the current market, is it better to sell or rent out your property? We have a 4-bedroom detached house that our local estate agents thinks will easily sell for $295,000, but we think it's worth more. Should we hold it for the longer term as we don't need to sell, or shall we take the hit now and cash in? Okay, well, great question, Melissa. Thank you for that. Right, here's how I'm going to approach this question, Melissa, because I think this question needs to be driven by your strategy rather than any kind of timing of the market, if you know what I mean. So first question I need to ask you, Melissa, is what is it that you're trying to achieve as a result of this exercise? Okay. And that may easily allow you to understand the answer to your own question. But the second thing I will ask you is what would be the other investment vehicle you would look to put your cash into, assuming you sold? Okay. Now, here's the way I would look at things. If you're in a good position, you're sitting on cash savings and you don't need to sell this property, okay, which I think you said you don't need to, then you can afford to sit on that property and ride out any dips in property value. And over the course of the next, shall we say, 15 to 20 years, the value should recover more than adequately, and you'll enjoy the rental income over that period of time, as well as an increase in capital value. Okay, that's worth thinking about. The flip side is, if you need the cash, i.e. an emergency pops up, if you're not sitting on in a cash-rich position, an emergency pops up, and then you decide that you need to sell in order to recover some cash to deal with that emergency. And emergencies always seem to happen whenever we don't want them, right? But if you then need that cash, then you're putting yourself in a position where you could potentially lose out because you're having to sell the property. Does that make sense? So my view would be to look at, what's your current circumstance and situation. If you're sitting pretty, you don't need to sell, it's probably worth hanging on to and letting any kind of fluctuations in the market ride themselves out and enjoy that rental income over that period of time. The flip side is, if you do need the cash, or you think you might need the cash, it's probably best to sell now. And, if it was me, what I'd be doing in your situation would be banking the cash and then looking at what other opportunities this next sort of 12, 24, 36 months is going to bring, because I do think there's going to be some great opportunities. There will be people who are unfortunately forced to sell for whatever reason. That's just the way it is. And you may find that you can buy yourself a much better property, or actually more than one property over the course of the next few years, because you've been able to buy right and buy well. Okay, so that would be my take on it, Melissa. Look at what you're trying to achieve, and then look at what other investment vehicles you're looking to put the cash into, because obviously each investment vehicle has a certain amount of risk attached to it. If you're going to take the money and just dump it into the stock market, I'd be very hesitant. If you're going to take all the money and dump it into crypto, I'd be very hesitant, unless, of course, you know what you're doing, which, of course, then obviously feel free to have free reign to do whatever you want to with it. But if it was me, I'd probably be liquidating. As a guy that I quite look up to, actually, a gentleman called Alex Hormozy said recently, if you go back a couple of years when crypto really started to take off, there was a lot of people on social media going, cash is trash, you should be into crypto, right? And then as the crypto market started to crash, Hormozy said, cash is trash until it's not. And I think we have to, look at that quite seriously, that, having cash and firepower gives you opportunity in a marketplace when people need to sell. Okay, so that's just one of the ways I would look at that, Melissa. I hope that's been of some help for you. And if there's anything else we can do, of course, then please feel free to let me know. All right, have a wonderful Christmas. And moving on now, question number 6 comes in from Paulo. Hi there, Paulo. So Paulo asks, how should letting agents look to expand their business in what seems to be a contracting market? This week, we've had 3 long-term landlords decide to pull their properties from the rental market and sell them rather than reletting. Should we be selling our business and getting out now whilst we can, or should we hold for the longer term? All right, well, Paulo, that's a great question. Thank you for that. Look, it's really interesting. I was actually interviewing recently, which we'll put out very soon, actually, a gentleman called James Cocker, who's an expert in gathering leads for letting agents. And he was talking about the shrinking marketplace, and that there's actually 25% less properties available or 25% less landlords in the marketplace over the course of the last 4 years today than there was 4 years ago, should we say. Sorry. I think I've been getting you a bit mixed up there, but yeah, he said 25 years, sorry, there are 25% less landlords now than there were 4 years ago. Okay, I promise you, I haven't been drinking. I'm really excited about what we're about to unveil. So you'll have to forgive me. I'm just tripping over my tongue here a little bit, but I promise you, I'm not on the festive sauce already, and I've not been lunchtime drinking. So yeah, but James was saying there's 25% less landlords available in the marketplace now, and of course, for letting agents, that is a bit of a red flag, because the market is actually starting to contract. So I feel that, assuming this recession is here to stay, I honestly feel that there's going to be an agglomeration model unfolding in the estates and letting agency market over the course of the next 3 to 5 years. And I think that's going to ultimately impact the value of people's businesses, because there will be less buyers about. You know, when the market's good, everything's booming, there's more buyers about, more cash available, they'll be able to make better offers for a business, or you'll have more than one person interested, which obviously increases the price. If you're in a position where, you know, you need to sell and there's only one offer on the table, then that's when obviously things tend to be a little bit more, shall we say, disadvantageous to you. So if you know, look, if you're looking to exit your business, I would be looking to do that now, personally. But my question to you, Paula, would be, why not look to build some kind of an agglomeration model yourself in the marketplace? Because this is the time when, you know, most millionaires and billionaires are made, is in a recession than there ever is created in a rising market. Okay, so if you could look to take this on yourself, and a lot of people immediately kick back and say, "Oh God, we you know, we haven't got the cash, we haven't got the time, and this, that, and the other." You don't actually need the cash to do this. A little bit of cash helps, but you can do this on a kind of terms basis rather than a cash basis. And if you don't know what I'm talking about here, then again, grab yourself a copy of Estate Agent Secrets, volumes 1 to 3, because that will help you understand exactly why I would recommend you actually go out and start agglomerating within the estate agency model, because you'll start to pull and merge more practices together from a point of view of creating more volume, more strength, and an improved service offering within that wider group will help to bump up your profit margins. Okay, there are a lot of businesses out there that have been running on very thin profit margins in an attempt to make a profit. They will begin to fall by the wayside. That offers you a great opportunity to start to gather up a lot of these, you know, a lot of stock from other letting agents if they've gone to the wall, you know, or obviously be one of a fewer number of estate agents available when somebody decides to come to put their property up for sale in that particular area. Okay, so hopefully that's giving you some guidance there, Paulo. As if you can stick it out, I would stick it out, because, as I say, there's going to be a lot of opportunity. It just requires a twist in the mindset away from doom and gloom. Oh my God, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. More towards a mindset of there's opportunity coming and there's going to be a lot of it. Okay, because if you can do that, then you're in a really strong position to help people out. Okay, and that's exactly what I would be doing. As I say, if you want a bit of shall we say, light reading over the course of the Christmas break, I would definitely get yourself a copy of Estate Agent Secrets volumes 1 to 3. Have a read of those. They will enlighten you as to the different models that we look at within estate agency, and how you can improve your service offering to be able to charge more. Okay, some of which I've talked about in this webinar, but there's obviously other things that you can add to it. And then we also talk about this agglomeration model and how you can start to bring together a number of different practices so that you can come out of this, you know, swimming. So, you know, if you were to look at this as a 5 to 10 year plan, you know, you could end up, you know, with a fairly sizable agency business at the end of, so we say 5 to 10 years, that would sell for a, you know, a very tidy multiple, rather than just looking to exit your, you know, your what seems to be your single person business at this moment in time. All right, so I hope that helps, Paulo. Keep an eye out for that James Cocker interview, by the way, that I'm going to put out very soon. That will give you a different take on how to win landlords from a let-only perspective, and give you the opportunity for a client to try your service out, see how you guys work together, and then obviously get them onto your mailing list and your nurture list in order to keep in contact with them, and then ultimately win their business for the long term. All right. So thanks for that, Paulo. Have a wonderful Christmas as well. And yeah, look forward to any more questions from you again in the future. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I have been so excited and so on edge and so tripping over my tongue during the course of today's webinar. So I hope you'll forgive me, but I hope what I'm about to tell you will more than make up for my folks' pazzes throughout the course of this webinar. And yes, I do get the irony of what I've just said. All right, so it's Christmas, or it's coming up towards Christmas. And what I've decided to do as a pledge to show our sincerity to the people who are involved in the UK property market, and also with the cost of living crisis and the shall we say, a shrinking pool of business that may be available for agents, conveyancers, removal companies, surveyors, all the rest of it over the course of the next 12, 18 months. I'm going to put my neck on the line, and I'm going to do a £50,000 giveaway in the form of our 12-week roadmap, which we're going to be offering 10 spaces for any business owner in the UK who has either got an estate agency, a letting agency, whether they're a conveyancer, whether they are a removals company, whether they're a surveyor, a sparky, plumber, or anybody else that's connected with the home moving process in the UK. If you would like to win one of those 10 spaces that we're making available, this is a £5,000 training course, by the way, that we will be delivering to you for free. Okay, it will be in a one-on-one capacity, and I'll be taking you by the hand over the course of the next 3 months. So starting in January, we'll be running for 3 months. We'll be building an incredibly solid foundation in your business, and we'll be creating an incredible customer nurturing journey for your clients to help you win more business and to win that business at much, much higher fees. So if there's, as I say, problems that you've got in your existing business, you're worried about the future, you're not quite sure which way to go, I'm more than happy to dedicate the next 3 months to mentoring you and holding your hand through that entire process. And I'll do what I can to help you out. As I say, I'm offering you 10 spaces for business owners up and down the country. That is valued at £5,000 each. And as I say, it's part of our 12-week roadmap. So I only want you to reserve a space or send in shall we say, an email to us to try and reserve a space or win a space, shall we say, if you're prepared to commit to that 12-week process. I have done these sorts of things before with people where I've offered them help and advice, and they've all been very enthusiastic at week 1, but by week 4 they've gone off to do other things. So I only want people who are going to be committed to the process, to the cause, because it's not fair if you're taking one of those available spaces and then you're not committed to the process when that space could have been made available to somebody else. So it is an incredible giveaway. As I say, I'm prepared to put our money where our mouth is as far as WiggyWam is concerned, to support you guys and girls out there in what is going to become an increasingly tough market. You will get personally mentored by me over the course of the next 12 weeks. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a huge involvement of my time, but I am more than prepared to do it because I see the value in what we offer and what we provide to the marketplace, and I know we can help you with your business. So if this is something that sounds of interest, in order to get involved, all you need to do is send us an email to happytohelp@wiggywam.co.uk. That's happytohelp@wiggywam.co.uk. Use the subject line and put Christmas giveaway. Okay, that's Christmas giveaway in the subject line, and then just send me an email with the contact details. Everybody will go into a hat, okay, for the opportunity to win a space on this incredibly invaluable training, okay, and then we'll do that draw live on Christmas Day, and I'll let everybody know in due course who's been specially selected for it. So we're doing our bit. I hope that helps you guys. We're doing what we can, and I do believe that we will be able to show you how to add at least 20% additional revenue to your business over the course of the next 90 days. So if that sounds of interest, if that's how you want to start the new year with a bang, we are going to show you how to make hopefully a lot more money than that over the course of the next 12, 18 months, but let's start somewhere, eh? All right, so as I say, send me an email, happytohelp@wiggywam.co.uk, and include the subject line there as Christmas giveaway. I'll throw your names into a hat, and then we'll find out who are going to be our 10 lucky winners in our £50,000 Christmas giveaway. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much indeed for your time. Hope that's got you all excited and you're putting a bright smile on, ready for the run up to Christmas. Wishing you all the very, very best. Thank you for tuning in once again. Thank you for being part of our amazing journey at WiggyWam. And yeah, whatever we can do to help, if there's any questions, concerns, whatever you, feedback, please send it through to us. Our email address, happytohelp@wiggywam.co.uk. That's happytohelp@wiggywam.co.uk. You can also go to our website, which is wiggywam.co.uk. And you can access all sorts of resources on there, which are far too numerous to mention at this moment in time. But you can also get in touch with us on Twitter, which Twitter handle is @WiggyWam_UK. That's @WiggyWam_UK. And that's any questions, comments, feedback, suggestions, anything else that you want us to feed through to us, please do so. And as I say, if you want to take part in our Christmas giveaway, send us an email, happy to help @wiggywam.co.uk. And in the subject line, just put Christmas giveaway and include your name and contact details on there. All right. Fantastic. Well, thank you for tuning in for week 15, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Wishing you all the very best of luck for Christmas and look forward to catching up with you very soon. You take care. Bye-bye.